Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. You know what time it is. I have my notebook and I have my coffee. And we're going to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of April. I read about 18 books in the month of April, yet this was my most successful reading month that I've ever had. I don't think I've ever read more than 15 books, so that was really good. Reason being is because I got a Kindle, and if you have not gotten a Kindle yet, you should, because I didn't have Kindle Unlimited for the longest, and I would just buy paperbacks, and I would spend a lot of money, and I saved up some money. I got a Kindle, got Kindle Unlimited, and I have been reading on my Kindle nonstop, and it's been saving me so much money. And the very first book that I read was Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the I think it's called Chestnut Spring series, if I'm not mistaken. We are following Summer and Red, I believe that's his name. Summer is basically she is the daughter of, he is a bull rider, and we love a cowboy romance, and it's like a forbidden love. They're not supposed to be dating. Summer is the daughter of Red's kind of like manager. He has a manager. He's a professional bull rider. So he basically gets in some trouble, and Summer it's put on the job to basically keep him out of trouble. So he has to, she has to live with him. And that's where everything happens. They fall in love. Things happen. I really enjoyed this book. I've heard that the second and third book are better. I believe, I don't know if there's a fourth book, but I heard that the second and third are way better. So I gave this book a 4-star. Really enjoyed it. Really recommended. It was a good book overall. It was a really good book. The next book that I read in the month of April was Belladonna by Adeline Grace, I believe. And this was a gothic, dark fantasy, I want to say. We're basically following Signa and Death. Signa has always been around and surrounded by death all of her life. She's basically an orphan. Everyone she comes across with, end up passing away, and she doesn't understand why. She can see ghosts, she can speak to them and things like that. So she's always been surrounded by death, and she hates him because she thinks that because of him she is an orphan. And things happen one day. She gets moved in with this family, and there's a really sick person in her family, and she wants to really save that person from dying and from death coming and collecting her soul. So she goes into this whole entire like, I want to find who is doing this to you. And she ends up finding out that these the person is being poisoned, so she has to find out like who is doing what to this person before death comes and collect her soul. But then she finds out that death is not so bad, and that she's falling for him. And we go from there. There's a second book. I don't want to say too much, but I really enjoyed this book, and I gave this book a 5-star. I also read a little small novella called Is Coming Home, and we're basically following Kennedy and Ryan. I'm looking down because I'm really horrible with names, and that doesn't mean that I forgot about the books. I'm horrible with character names, and they were inseparable growing up in high school, but their careers kind of went the opposite way. They don't talk to each other. They, whatever, they went their separate routes, and then they meet again. They're really successful in what they do. He's a journalist, I believe, and she is a like a host, like a talk show host, and they're really famous. And he comes back to the town that they grew up in because he has a daughter, and her daughter is, it's homecoming weekend, and he basically comes home for her, and whoever wins like homecoming queen and things like that get to be interviewed. And that's how it basically like their love like blossoms again. They were really close growing up. They separated. They came back. He came back into the town, and now you can, it's a small novella, so like you can basically tell what happened. I gave this book a 3-star. It wasn't bad at all. It was just your typical like childhood best friends, lovers they got separated and then they came back together, and it's a happily ever after. Really cute. Another book that I read was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I was actually wanting to read this for the longest. Me and my bestie Lacey wanted to watch the movie, and so we did yesterday, and I actually really enjoyed it. It is a work enemies to lovers. I'm really skeptical, like I'm not really into workplace romances, just because I don't know, to me it's so unrealistic sometimes. And but this one was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really funny, their interactions and things, and the movie is a really good movie. If you don't want to read the book, fine. You can watch the movie. Almost everything, nothing really changed. I really enjoyed it. I gave this book a 4 stars. It's a really good romance, a really good enemies to lovers, and I absolutely love the ending. I would definitely recommend. Another really good book that I read in the month of April was An Ember in the Ashes. This was a fantasy romance, or just like a fantasy book. I really enjoyed this book. We follow Laya and Elias. I'm not going to talk too much into this book because I did make a reading vlog on this, and it was truly amazing. Like, I gave this book a 5-star. The plot in this book was absolutely amazing. I was like hooked to the book the whole entire book. Like, every chapter ended on a cliffhanger for me, and I had to read the next. It was truly amazing. If you want a good fantasy, this is the first book in a 4-book series, so I still have to go ahead and read the other books because I really enjoyed this book. And I really recommend, if you're looking for a new fantasy romance but that has like not so much of a romance plot at the beginning. I feel like when we progress to the second and third book, there will be a lot of more romance in there, but there was a lot of plot that was so good. The whole story was really good because of that plot, and I feel like I'm okay when romances don't have the romance like right away, but we can tell that something's there. It's just the author is waiting a little longer to give that to us. So I definitely enjoyed this book, and I gave this book a 5-star. Another book that I read that I was so disappointed, and again I made another video on this book, and this was The American Roommate Experiment. I really did not enjoy this book, and I should have known because I read The Spanish Love Deception, and I didn't enjoy that book as much as everyone did, and it was really hyped up absolutely everywhere, but not for me. I just didn't enjoy that book whatsoever. It was okay. I just gave it I gave it a 3-star at the time on my Goodreads, and I went back after reading this one and I gave it a 2. And this one was a 2 as well. Like, I actually DNF'd it a little bit more than halfway through the book. The reason why I'm including this book in my wrap up is because I absolutely I just read the whole entire thing for no reason. Like, I'm gonna say that I read it because I did. I read freaking 300 and something pages. I should have finished it, but I just didn't have the guts. I just didn't have the mindset to finish it, so I didn't. And it's just, apparently it's like a fake dating, because it's a really bad, they're really into each other right off the bat. I just feel like there was no point of making this book, to be completely honest. It's a companion book to The Spanish Love Deception, so you don't have to read The Spanish Love Deception to read this book, but I just didn't see the point. Like, right off the bat, we know that they were into each other, but yet they fake date for the purpose of the girl, forgot her name, the girl to basically get inspired to write her romance novels. And like, I get it that they're fake dating because the guy, it's from Spain, so he has to leave in a couple weeks, but like, you make it work, you know? Like, I don't know, it's just, I just didn't enjoy it. Another book that I read in the month of April was Twisted Love, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. Like, I really enjoyed this book a lot. A lot of people were on Bookstagram and on social media in general were saying that the Twisted Love series, the very first book, which is Twisted Love, not everyone liked at all, and that they pushed through it to get to the better books. To me, it was a really good book. I gave it a 4-star. It was amazing. It was one of my favorite tropes, which is brother's best friend. I mean, come on, like they dislike each other a little bit, but her brother puts Alex, which is Ava and Alex, in charge of taking care of his sister, and he does that and more, if you know what I mean. Anyways, I gave this book a 4 star. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Twisted Love so much that I went and read Twisted Games. And Twisted Game is a bodyguard romance, technically. So we're following, in the first book, we follow Ava and Alex, and Ava has this friend named Bridget, and she is a princess. She is a princess from another country, and she is, you know, in the United States doing her thing, volunteering, going to college. And she always has to have like bodyguards and things like that. And so basically Bridget meets Reese. Reese becomes her bodyguard because one of her bodyguards has to, you know, he has to go on like kind of like parent leave, if you want to call, like, I don't know if it's called maternity leave because he's not the mother, but like, you know, he has a baby, so he leaves and has to, you know, resign from his position. And Reese comes into the picture, and he's an ex-military man. And at the beginning, they don't really get along because Reese is really into like protecting her. She's really like adamant and like kind of like, okay, why are you changing everything that I do? And he is a little bit rough at the beginning, and that's how they kind of go at the beginning. And I really enjoyed it. The ending of this book was amazing. The spice was really good, and it was forbidden, and the things that they did to be able to be with each other was absolutely amazing. In the month of April, I also reread one of my favorite all-time favorite book, and that is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. I absolutely love that book. Like, if I had to pick a couple that I want to be, or if I had to pick a couple parent, like their daughter, like it would be Ren and Crew. I absolutely love them to death, and I read this book last year, and I decided to read it again because last year I read it on Kindle and on Kindle Limited, and this year I have the actual copy, and I wanted to read it, and it just hit like amazing. I also read A Hockey Romance on Kindle Unlimited. I have been reading a lot on there, so that's why I don't have a lot of physical books this month, because I've been just literally benching, and you know, I just been supporting all these Kindle Unlimited authors and downloading their books and reading it on there. So I read My Lucky 13, and we basically follow Aiden and Sage. Aiden is a hockey player, and he has always thought that, like, he's never believed in anything to make him better, but lately he's been sucking a lot. In a New Year party or whatever, this girl throws a drink at his face, and he basically, after that, he plays and he is back to what he used to be. Like, he's great again. And so he thinks that because of that girl throwing a drink in his face, I guess, he did good. So he tries to chase this girl down everywhere so she can do it again, so he can play better, if that makes sense. So basically, he is really famous. He is a really famous hockey player, and this book really just opened my eyes to, I want to go to a hockey game. Like, I want to be a hockey fan. I really do. I really freaking do. And I only wish that the hockey team in my area was good. I just only wish, because I would go every single day. Anyways, so he goes and follows this girl around. She actually works with sports people, like she handles their social media and things like that. So he is literally begging this woman to throw a drink at his face so he can have a better game. But then he falls in love with her, and then he stops focusing on his game and focusing too much on her, and then like it just goes into this thing. But it was really good, and I gave it a 4-star. I also read a beautiful romance, and that is Archer's Voice, and we follow Archer and what's her name? Archer and Bree. This is so fucked up, like, that I can't remember none of this character's name. So we follow Archer and Bree. Bree moves into this town because she just wants a new start and she feels fed up to where she's at. So she moves into this new town, and she meets when she's going into the grocery store or coming out, I'm not sure, she meets Archer. And Archer basically had a tragic like upbringing, and he doesn't speak to anyone, and it's because he had an accident growing up. It is really, really sweet. Archer has been kept from society, if you want to call it that way. He has never been with anyone, and Bree kind of communicates with him because her father used to be deaf, actually mute, no, deaf. So her father used to be hard of hearing, so she had to learn sign language. And when she started asking questions about Archer, she find out that he doesn't speak. He hasn't spoken in a really long time because of things that happened in his past. And she gets, she comes often, and she is really intrigued about Archer. And Archer kind of open up to her, and like they kind of become in this relationship. But there are other people in town that really like want to like ruin their relationship, and she basically has to like be this person that like teaches him how to do stuff. And it's really sweet. It's really, really sweet, and I really, really loved it. I wasn't expecting this book to be spicy, but it does have a little spice. So if I had to say, I would say this is, out of 5, this is like a 3 in spice, like 3.5, which is pretty spicy for a 5. Like if I'm comparing it to a 5, 3.5 is pretty spicy. So I really enjoyed it, and I gave this book a 5-star. Another book that I read, I'm going to talk about all of them here. I read the Ravenhood series, and I'm not okay. I just want to say that those book like just broke my heart, and you absolutely need to read it. Chapter 25 of Flock, which is the first book in the Ravenhood series, was my absolute, that chapter was like, that chapter was spicy. But it's just amazing. I'm not even going to talk more about it because I just made a vlog about this series, and if you want to see me cry on that vlog, is the video before this one. It's amazing. They're all 5 stars. So then after I read the Ravenhood series, I was into this dark romance, just like romance vibe, and I read Haunting Adeline, I believe, which is the first book, and I did not enjoy that book at all. Like, I'm sorry if you love that book, you're weird. I mean, I can see it, I guess. Like, I finished it, but I gave it a 2-star. I think 3 or 2-star. I think it was a 3-star because it wasn't bad, okay? Like, I'm not gonna like talk bad on the book. It wasn't bad. It's just there was no plot for me there. Like, I like to read my smutty books, and like, it has like spice. But this book was kind of like, she was into it, but she was fighting not being into it. And like, she was fine with it, but like I don't know, it wasn't good for me. It was really not good, and I really didn't enjoy it. So I gave it a 3-star. I finished the book. It was long. It was straight up like just porn in a book. So if you want to read porn in a book, there you go, read that book. And then the very last book that I read was called 4 Psychos. I'm going to be putting pictures here. I did not like that book. Ever since I read the Ravenhood, I have been into reverse, I think it's called reverse harem. Yeah, something like that, where there is like one woman and multiple men, because the Ravenhood is kind of like that. So I have been into a really dark romance, mafia romance. So I said, you know what? I'm going to read this book. It's relatively short. I thought that I was gonna like it, and it's about this girl, and this girl is a ghost, and they call her Kayla because she doesn't even have a name. And so she is a ghost girl, and no one can see her, and she's basically following these 4 men who are kind of like, they're also, I don't know, they're like dark angels, I guess you would say. And for them to be able to be with a woman, they all have to be with the same woman. If not, they cannot be with just one woman. Like, I don't know, it's something like that. So she lives in this house with them, and she is obsessed with wanting to be that woman that they're with, but she's a ghost, and no one can listen to her, no one can hear her, no one can see her, no one can nothing. So the one day something happens where she kills someone, or someone's coming to kill one of the four guys, and she calls them by number, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's like a little weird, but I was like, okay, let me just read it, because like, you know, I'm into this now, I guess. I'm this girl. But no, it was really not that good. So I give it a 2 star. It was not good. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope this is not such a long video. I'm going to try to edit it as much as I can. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to leave all my social medias in the description down below. I don't think I'm going to be doing a May TBR, because my moods change so much. So yeah, that video is not coming, but I want to let you guys know what I read in the month of April. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.